4.75 or higher GPA. I'm very proud to say for the class of 2022, there are 25 students in this category, and that's quite an accomplishment. Before we begin the program, Mr. Marcus Elford, Assistant Principal, will lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Look, can I have everyone stand, please? Face flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
At this time, I'd like to call to the podium Mrs. Watts, high school principal, to recognize some individuals in the audience. Mrs. Watts.
Before we get started, I'd like to take a moment to recognize and thank a few school administrators that have joined us tonight. We have Ms. Blackstone, the curriculum director. I believe I saw Ms. McClaskey, the athletic director. We have Mr. Hookrattle, a school board member, and Mr. Elford, the assistant principal. We, of course, have several staff members joining us behind me, but they'll be introduced during the ceremony. I want to thank Mr. Duplinsky and Mrs. Emmerich for organizing tonight's event, and lastly, thank each one of you for joining us tonight. Now, get your tissues ready. So I've been told I have mine ready, and we're going to go ahead and begin the ceremony.
The format for the program, the recognized student will be called up to the front here to the podium, and his or her special guest, who is an individual employed by the school district, will also come up to the front with the student. The student will present his or her special guest with a letter framed, and then in return, the special guest will make a few comments on the student and present the student with his or her Summa Cum Laude certificate. Each student wrote a letter, and I think that's what Mrs. Watts is getting to with some of them. Could tear you up a little bit. District, and with these people who work for the district, think of the individual student. The tough thing for me is putting them in order. There's no method to how the student comes up to the podium as far as 1 through 24. I did not want to go alphabetical. That's kind of generic. I didn't want to go by class ranking. I don't think it's fair with this kind of group of students to say there's number 1, there's number 2. So I just put the names in the hats and pull them. And they fall into that order of sequence. Now this can be a long program. So I ask you to please give number 23 and 24 the same consideration as number 1 and 2. Remember, your son or your daughter or grandchild or whoever's in the audience, that person could be number 23 or 24. So please hang in there with the length of the program, because these students earn this recognition. And that's really what it's about, making sure they receive the accolade that they deserve. One last thing in terms of announcements: if you do need to leave the auditorium for restroom, please use the back doors, but watch as you're closing them, because they could slam, all right? And then if you keep going to the left, you'll run into 2 faculty restrooms if you need to. And with that, I'll be over here to move the program along a little quicker instead of me going back and forth to the podium. But at this point, we are going to start with Austin Eady.
When I got the email that I was getting selected for Summa Cum Laude, It was a no-brainer that my pick was Mr. Turner. From the first day I met him till now, Mr. Turner has been someone I look up to because of his work ethic and ability to impact and motivate others. Throughout my 4 years, one certain circumstance stands out. One day, he asked me if I would want to participate in the job interview CDE. At first, I was hesitant and nervous, but he kept preaching to me that I was capable of being successful if I worked hard at it. Fast forward a few months, I placed second in the district. I started to realize if I create a goal for myself, I will achieve it if I work hard. Little did he know that such a small act in telling me that I am capable of a lot more would change my outlook on how I approach life. I give all the credit to him for pushing me to go outside of my comfort zone and achieve more than what I thought was possible. Throughout my 4 years in ag, Mr. Turner has taught me many real-life skills such as plumbing, mechanical skills, welding, and electrical systems. The list could go on, and I'm glad that he has been a part of my FFA journey. Every day, when I would go into Mr. Turner's class, I can confidently say that he would always light up the room and make my day better, whether it was by a simple joke or a funny story. When it comes to teaching, Mr. Turner is the definition of what a great teacher and leader looks like. He goes above and beyond in every aspect to teach and help his students learn the material. Whether it was him teaching us about mechanics or any other skills he taught us, he was always right by your side, guiding you to obtain the information or perfect a certain skill. Mr. Turner has been such a positive influence in my 4 years at Liberty Union, and I hope one day to be half the person and leader he is. I just want to say from the bottom of my heart, thank you for always motivating me not to only be a better student, but become a better leader and person. Your impact throughout my 4 years in high school will never be forgotten.
Thank you, Austin. When Austin told me that he nominated me for this, I was speechless at that point in time. We were in the middle of class, and he comes up, and I was working with some other kids. He says, "I need to talk to you." And I said, "What do you need?" He said, "We need to talk to you right now." And he told me, and I was speechless at that point in time. You couldn't ask for a student that is as hardworking, dedicating, and outgoing as Austin. You look at on and off the sports fields, what he's doing right now for the baseball team, is catching and doing everything that he is involved with. Austin is not afraid to go above and beyond. So I know for a fact that Austin's going to be successful in his life. He's always willing to take that next step. He's always willing to be motivated and dedicated in what he said he's going to do. So I am honored for this, Austin, and I wish you the best in your future and your endeavors. And if you ever need anything, please come back to Liberty Union. I know for me and my colleagues, we are all on the same page. But nice job. Congratulations, Austin.
I neglected to mention, but it is in the program, any of the plans that these students might have. At this point, my understanding is Austin's going to be attending Ohio State University. The next student up is Macy Bethel, and at this point, Macy is undecided, but our last conversation, she's thinking something in terms of international studies abroad. So, Macy Bethel.
Dear Mrs. Whitaker, looking back on my high school career, one constant has been having your guidance in my life. Our paths first converged when I was a student in your geometry class. Geometry was the first course of many where I began to admire and learn about you. I can recall my first day of class when I couldn't stop watching your energetic self at the front of the room. You were sarcastic and intelligent while still feminine and outgoing. Those are qualities I hope to see someday reflected in myself. You quickly became not only my role model, but also a consistent, positive reminder of my future. You have made it seem feasible to pursue a STEM profession without losing my feminine attributes and have motivated me to continue my mathematical journey in college. You have been a catalyst in helping me discover my love for math. You have taught me through song, colored note cards, and gel pens, and the connection you develop with all of your students has helped numerous girls and boys approach life one day at a time. You went on to teach me not only lessons in math, but also a countless number of other lessons. You gifted me life advice and provided me and many others with a listening ear and an open door. I will never forget the experiences I've had in your class. I will never forget when you wore Converse shoes, when you taught the angle side angle converse theorem. I will never forget the lessons you taught, math and otherwise. I'll never forget your impact on my life. So today, I want to thank you endlessly.
Wow, it's going to be hard to speak after that. Wow, you make me sound awesome. Macy, I'm so honored to be standing next to you. When I was told I was teaching an 8th grader advanced geometry, I was worried the student wouldn't be ready. Then I met Macy, and I instantly knew I didn't have to worry. We started Liberty Union High School together that year. Next year will be my first year without you as an LU student. This is bittersweet for me. I'm sad to see you leave, but I'm beyond happy for you and your next adventure. It has been my pleasure to be your teacher. We connected the first year, if not that very first day, that I taught you. I was so impressed with you holding your own at the high school, and I knew then you were going places. I have watched you continue to grow into the wonderful young woman you are today. Not only have we learned together, but we have cried and laughed together as well. There have been heartfelt conversations as well as laughing sessions in room 204. You will always have a special place in my heart. You are a kind and compassionate person. You have accomplished so much in high school, and I know you will continue to succeed. Follow your dreams. You have continued to thrive even through the obstacles and past couple of years have thrown at us. I am beyond proud of you and all you have accomplished thus far. I am excited for your next adventure. You are going places, and I hope you enjoy your learning experience overseas. Please continue to stay in touch. I love you, girl.
Dylan Hook Rattle.
Third grade. What an exciting time. We finally got to move into the big kid hallway, and we got to change classes like big kids. We thought we were pretty cool. There's not much I remember about my third grade year, or elementary school in general, but I remember this one conversation with Miss Savage like it was yesterday. During this time, there were 3 different spelling groups, and I was in what was considered to be the lowest spelling group. There was a student in the class who had recently just got moved from my spelling group into the higher ones. I was passing all of my tests, and I felt like I needed to be challenged more when it came to spelling. I felt as though I deserved to be moved to a higher spelling group, so I asked Miss Savage if we could have a conversation about my feelings. We sat down, and I basically told her that I wanted to be challenged more. Miss Savage listened to my every word, and the next week she moved me to the most challenging spelling group. At that moment, I felt so heard and empowered. It is a moment I will never forget. The one conversation made an enormous impact in my confidence. To use my voice with teachers and coaches in the years to come, and will continue to do so as I have conversations with professors and bosses in the future. By just listening to my thoughts and feelings and believing in me, she gave me so much confidence when it came to expressing my opinions. Miss Savage had such a huge impact on me, and I am incredibly grateful to have had a teacher as amazing as her, as early in my life as I did. Thank you.
I was really surprised when Dylan approached me about the Summa Cum Laude ceremony, and I was really incredibly honored. And when she told me that I had to kind of talk about her and kind of tell a little story, I knew immediately the story I wanted to tell. When we were in 3rd grade, we had a student in our classroom who kept stealing things. Most of the times the kids didn't know that things were being stolen because they were being stolen from me. But this one time, Dylan's Bath and Body Works hand sanitizer that clipped on her backpack was stolen. That's a big deal to 8-year-old girls. It's more of a big deal than a headband or their shoes, because anything you can clip on your backpack is a cool thing. So Dylan and another student approached me about it, and I said, I know that we've had things being stolen. I'm sorry it happened to you, but it's been going on all year. So they came back to me later on and they said, hey, Mrs. Savage, can we set up a sting operation? They didn't use those terms, but that's basically what it was. Okay, can we lay out a piece of candy as bait and catch this student? And I'm sitting here thinking, oh man, this could be a career ender moment if I say yes to this. But I trusted my students, and I knew Dylan especially would do the right thing out of this. So I allowed this to happen. So me and the class left to go on a restroom break, and Dylan and this other student set the bait. And then 3 of my students did not join us to the bathroom, so I knew something was going on. So I walked back and I peeked in my room, and I was kind of, very nervous, like, okay, they're yelling at this other student, like, what's gonna go on here, because something was stolen. But it was exactly how I had hoped it would happen. The student who was caught was sobbing, and Dylan was consoling her and telling her that, if you ever get the urge again, you come see me, you come talk to me so that you don't steal anymore. Trying to be like a coach and a supportive person to prevent things like this from happening. When I brought this up to Dylan, she didn't even remember this happening. Which, to me, that's a character and integrity thing, because that's just how you act. That's just what you do. And so this event didn't really stick in her mind as powerful, but it stuck in my mind as powerful, because this 8-year-old girl could have taken this and turned it into a bad situation, but turned it into a positive and actually helped this student throughout the rest of the year, kind of prevent some of those stealing urges. And Dylan still doesn't know who the student, or doesn't remember who the student was, so I feel like I can say this with confidence. But what I knew when I found out it was this student had had a really rough beginning of her life and was deprived of food for a lot of her early years. And so when she started stealing food so that she could eat, because she had been deprived of food so early on. So knowing that even more, this is why this child broke down, and it didn't take but a second for Dylan to be compassionate towards her, and that always stuck with me. So thank you, Dylan.
Rachel Kenley.
Mr. Day, over the years, you have made an impact on my academic performance and my learning abilities tremendously. You've helped me achieve my goals, including my college prep courses. You have helped the many classes I had with you. You helped me progress my learning towards a great career. You taught me how much I am capable of and helped me put all my effort into school. Without your help, I could not have accomplished all that I have. Every day I look forward to having your class because of the positive environment and people to work with. I knew I could always count on you for help with my classes, especially CCP, and any other problems I had throughout my school years. Not only are you involved with your students during class, but you also attend outside school activities. Every student wants to have that one class that they can excel in and can have fun during their school year, and I recommend all of your classes. I would like to thank you for pushing me to be my best and being able to graduate with Summa Cum Laude. Thank you.
All right, Rachel, you might find this surprising, but you were very special because I wore a shirt and tie. I wear a shirt and tie once a year, and that's for graduation. So that's one point I have. Rachel is one of the hardest working students I have ever had. She never turns in an assignment late. It's always done ahead of time, except for her senior speech that I have in class this week. She's just told me she hasn't started on it. So, but she'll have it done, and it'll be on time, and it'll be great, because she always does great work. Rachel wants to become a teacher, and I told her, I don't know if you remember, a couple weeks ago, I asked her, you know, what's your future plan? She said she wants to be a teacher. And I said, do not ever let another teacher or a person talk negative about the profession. Because I love what I do. It's because of students like her. Thank you.
Audrey Estep.
When I first started thinking about summa cum laude, my mind was already set on who I would choose. I turned in the paper the day I got it because I was certain and could not get stuck with anyone who wasn't Miss Fisher. From the first class I had with her, 6th grade music, I knew she was going to become my favorite teacher. Through every painstaking year of scheduling, there was always one constant on my schedule. Whether it was women's choir, stage productions, or chorale, I could never go one semester without Miss Fisher's classes. She helped my love for theater and music grow into what it is today. I always knew I loved music and everything that comes along with it, but seeing Miss Fisher's passion for teaching and creating music has truly been amazing. She has been a wonderful person to have in my corner all these years.
Okay, well, Audrey, like she said, has been in my classes and choir for quite a few years now, and I have just been so impressed with how you face a challenge, and I hope this is okay to say, but you've had some challenging health things to deal with, or she could handle that task. So it has truly been a pleasure to have you in class all these years, and to watch you grow as a person and a musician.
Mary Chestnut, and Mary plans to attend the University of Wisconsin Stevens Point campus.
Imagine trying to say a 6-minute long speech and answer questions on it at 7 in the morning. Now, imagine trying to listen to someone give a 6-minute speech on it at 7 in the morning. These were my first memories of Mrs. Blackstone. Well, sort of. For most of high school, I knew her as the lady who'd proctor some of the most stressful tests in my FFA career. But in addition to that, she helped out Mr. Turner and Mr. Thomas with the public speaking career development event contests in FFA. In my sophomore year, I would meet with Mrs. Blackstone at the crack of dawn to practice. She always amazed me, but early on, I was surprised and certainly admired by how awake she was when I was walking in half asleep. She manages to do more in a day than I could ever imagine doing. Before the many hours of practice, I was the girl who stuttered all over her words and hated presenting in front of people. Flash forward throughout high school, and she helped me win countless county and public speaking contests and led me to the state contest twice. Mrs. Blackstone was more than the person that helped me get the store I wanted. She always asked how my day was going and made me laugh even when I was having a rough day. She pushed me to stand up for myself and made me realize it was okay to speak for what I thought was right. So to you, Mrs. Blackstone, I have to thank you for genuinely making my high school experience a better one. You've listened to me become the speaker I am today and influenced me to be the person I am now and hope to continue to be. You've always supported me, whether it was in school, FFA contests, or in life, and pushed me to try harder. I can only hope to have taught you half the things you've taught me, and I cannot thank you enough for that.
So as I started to think about what I wanted to say about Mary today, I'm a list maker. So I started to make a list of some of the qualities that I wanted to make sure I talked about, because that's what came to mind when I thought of her. Intelligent, well-rounded, driven, passionate, well-spoken, dedicated, thoughtful, inquisitive. And then I started to think, well, many of these words are words that we can use to describe all of these amazing students up here. And then I thought of one quality that I wanted to focus on that I think makes Mary stand out against other teenagers. And that quality is going to serve her very well in life. And that is that Mary is confident. Her confidence allows her to be a leader, not just in organized groups like being an FFA officer or being on the Knowledge Bowl team, but also on class projects and then behind the scenes at the school musical. Her confidence allows her to be her own person and not follow the pack. And she has this fashion sense that is trendy and retro and just downright enviable. Her confidence allows her to try new experiences without fear of failure holding her back. And she plans to take a gap year and travel all over the country, exploring and learning through experiences rather than just reading about these foreign places. I recently read a book called The Confidence Code, A Science and the Art of Self-Assurance. And it discusses the importance of confidence in children. And I want to read just a short paragraph from it. It says, confidence gives them something else entirely. A faith in their ability to make things happen, to risk failure, and to all the while maintain a sense of inner calm and equilibrium. Confidence puts meaningful tools in their hands instead of unproven promises in their heads. It won't guarantee success, but it will, more importantly, lift self-imposed limits. I've had the honor of working with Mary as a coach in her FFA public speaking, and I think it's kind of ironic because I think this is the first time you've ever heard me public speak, so that's kind of funny. And quite simply, I'm just a better person because of the time that I've spent with her. She's taught me so many things about the world, and if I ever have a daughter, I would want her to be just like Mary, because I know in my heart and in my mind that she will not just be okay in this world, but she will thrive in this world.
J.C. Maddox.
Miss Aiello, I was lucky enough to have you for 2 out of my 4 years of high school. There was always a fun element added to every day, which made me look forward to your class. Though I may have struggled with Spanish, you were always there to help me and make sure I understood how to pronounce words and put sentences together in Spanish. For most of the year, we started our class off with a nice hola chicos, then we went through the room and told you how our day was in Spanish, and you always had something nice to say, questions to ask, and really engaged in conversation with us. What I look for in a great teacher is someone who is not just there to teach me, but connect with me as well, and you did just that. While being in class, you made a great impact on my life. I have always been the person that hated speaking in front of a class, but you helped me go outside of my comfort zone often and do just that. Now, speaking in front of a class for me in English was challenging, but then you add a different language on top of that. I thought I would definitely be failing in participation. But you helped me tremendously with my fear of speaking in front of a class, and now I'm standing here in front of a bunch of people doing this with ease because of you. Thank you for helping me overcome one of my fears and for being a great teacher.
Thank you, JC. I was really honestly very surprised when JC asked me because the year that we were mostly together was probably the worst teaching year of my life. So it was very inspiring when you told me that you picked me because I was really struggling with that. It inspired me to think, well, we got through that and somebody thought it was okay. But because, I feel like we didn't have as much time together as my usual classes, the things that really come to mind most about you is I would just say you were a quiet might is what I think. You're small but powerful, and even though you were very quiet in class, I knew that any time she was going to say something, it would be right and it would be really good, those kind of people. And I think that's a skill that a lot of us need to be good listeners. And everybody wants to say something these days, but not many want to listen. And you can always tell the listeners because they say great things. So thank you so much, JC. It was an honor.
Courtney Jones.
Looking back at my years at Liberty Union, there are a few teachers that stood out to me and challenged me on a daily basis. Aside from your amazing sarcasm, I could see the passion you held for your students. At the beginning of 8th grade, I remember seeing my schedule and noticing that I had you for 2 classes in a row. I didn't really know you, so I was dreading it, but looking back, those were probably the best 2 hours I ever spent at a school in a day. You always welcomed everyone and gave the best advice when things seemed to be unclear to us. Even after I finished your class, you always were there for guidance and just somebody to talk to. You always pushed me to do things that I would have never tried to do. You always knew how to ignite the family rivalry between me and my sister and keep things interesting. I'll always remember you joking about hanging our faces behind your desk. I'm not sure if that meant we were your favorite students or if that just meant we were that memorable for our great differences. After looking at many careers and soul searching, I've chosen to be an educator. I hope to follow your lead and inspire young minds to be the best they can be while challenging and igniting a passion for math and science inside of them. Thanks for always being yourself, honest and comedic. You have inspired me to do right by the community and future generations.
So, I'm very honored to have had you choose me for the ceremony. When I sat down to think about who you are as a person, one thing came to my mind more than anything else. And even in 8th grade, I saw it, and it's how you paved your own path in life. You never adhered to what other people thought was good and right. You lived your life doing what you thought was right and what you thought was best. This character trait is one that I saw you carry into high school and is one that I never want you to actually lose. I want to offer up a few words of encouragement for you to continue that strength. Whenever you find yourself stuck in the mud, I want you to read this to yourself. To walk your true journey step by step, knowing that the universe does not owe you anything and that you must persevere, even when the going gets tough and when you can't see the next step in front of you, because life is raining down on you so hard, that can be discouraging, but it can also be empowering. I'm an avid goal setter and I believe in manifestation. The seeds that we plant, or those that we do not plant, will set us up for where we will be in the future. What you believe you are capable of accomplishing or not will determine your long-term success in your overall relationship with yourself, and will directly affect the relationships you have with the outside world. We all need to learn how to dance in the rain more. Growth in the pursuit of a life well lived doesn't come from just manifesting that we will someday be happy or that we'll be rewarded with X, Y, and Z. We need to learn how to befriend uncertainty and discomfort. Not everything you plan will turn out the way you hoped, and this is okay, because it can lead us to a different road, and if you allow it, a better one. Thoughts remain thoughts unless we put actions into them. We might have visions about the life we want, and we may have written them down, but if we don't turn those thoughts into actionable steps, they'll be very difficult to obtain. If things are too comfortable for you, you're not growing. Often we tell ourselves that doing the things that will set us up for success later are too difficult. We question our worthiness, our capabilities, and perseverance to follow through, admiring and envying others for the life that they are living, and reassuring ourselves that it is personally out of reach. Avoid thinking this way at all cost. The reality is, achieving what we desire takes a whole lot of commitment, persistence, and falling flat on your face. It is way more worth it than to just sit in the mud. We convince ourselves that growth is uncomfortable, but how comfortable are we in our current life? What if we took the step into the discomfort to find that it could become new normal and a new way of living? What does your best life look like? Where are you currently at with living your best life? What steps might you have to take to get there? Who might you have to disagree with? And who might you have to walk away from in order to make things happen? Are you going to choose the path that's already been paved for you, or are you going to continue to make your own? Congratulations.
Amber McCloskey.
The definition of passion is a strong and barely controllable emotion. The level of passion or lack thereof an individual may have can often determine one's successes or failures. From a young age, basketball was a relief mechanism for me. If I was in the gym, I was in my own little world, relaxed and absent-mindedly playing the sport I loved. But then reality set in during my freshman year. An unsuccessful season, being initiated into varsity basketball in my first year of high school, feeling little support, yet held to varsity expectations made going to practice every day exhausting. My love for the game was rapidly decreasing, and I was defeated. As I reflected on my freshman year, the main component I wanted to focus on in the upcoming season was regaining my passion for the game. I couldn't mean it more when I say Coach Schmitz was my saving grace. The time, effort, and energy he contributed to our team did not go unnoticed. He made us a team again, even if it meant getting his car post-it noted a time or two. He stressed leadership, family, forget about me, I love you, and unity to all players and as a team. His leadership changed my perspective of what a team should look like. As a sophomore and then a junior, with the guidance of Coach Schmitz and now the positive, strong leaders ahead of me, I felt that I could relax again and play the game I love and look up to them for guidance. Then came my senior year. I no longer had those leaders ahead of me, and Coach Schmitz made it clear that it was my turn to step up into the role as a leader. There were days where I would go home physically and mentally drained, but I couldn't wait to get back into the gym the very next day. Coach was there by my side every step of the way. He taught me to use my voice, stay positive through adversity, and ultimately help me regain my passion for a game that left a lasting impression. While this portion of my journey is complete, the tools that Coach Schmitz encouraged me to use on and off the court will guide me in my passion for caring for others. My voice and ability to stay positive through adversity will allow me to successfully navigate my way through nursing school. And Coach Schmitz, I thank you for that.
First off, congratulations. And thank you for selecting me to be up here with you. It's an absolute honor. Now, I've had the pleasure of getting to be, obviously, Ember's basketball coach for the past few seasons. And as I sat down to kind of think about what I wanted to say about her tonight. Obviously, a bunch of different words came to mind on how I would describe Ember and some of her characteristics. Obviously, intelligent, hardworking, passionate, determined. But the one thing, as I reflected back on these past couple years and what I know about Ember, the one word that really stood out to me was she's caring. And it's no wonder that you've chosen the path that you're going to take going into nursing, because I've gotten to witness firsthand over the past few years Ember caring for her teammates, her friends, her family, and putting them above all else. She cares about what the right thing is to do. She cares about what's best for others, even if it means making sacrifices for herself. Amber, you've led by showing others how much you value them and you care for them. Because of your ability to make those around you better, there's no doubt in my mind that you'll be successful in college, in your nursing career, and anything that you do in life. You've made me a better coach, a better person, and I'm so thankful for you. And I'm excited for what the future holds. Congratulations.
Mackenzie Schumacher.
I have been lucky enough to have Mr. Williamson as my coach since 7th grade. He has been my cross-country coach for 2 years in middle school and my track coach for my entire high school career. He has helped me in more ways than I can count. He pushes me to be the best athlete that I can be on and off the track. He not only cares about how an athlete is performing athletically, but even more, always cares about how a student is performing academically. Coach always mentions that we are more likely to receive a scholarship for academics rather than an athletics scholarship. This opened my eyes to the fact that I should take schoolwork seriously for my future. Not only did he help me in my sports and school, but he also showed me what hard work looks like by being an example 100% of the time. He has been an example by showing how to be respectful to others no matter the situation. Coach spends most of his day preparing for practices and meets, which demonstrates his determination and commitment to the sport and his athletes. I know that he does a lot more work than necessary behind the scenes to help better all athletes on his team. He has been coaching for 50 years now, which shows how much he cares about making a difference in his athletes' lives and the programs that he started here at LU. His dedication to the running program here at our school has truly made a positive impact not only on me, but the many others that have had the opportunity to be coached by him. He has coached many sports in his 50 years, which makes him a well-rounded coach that knows a lot about every aspect of coaching. He shows so much love and compassion for his athletes and the sport itself. That is why he's so respected by people all around Ohio. I am so blessed to have a coach with so much knowledge, experience, and passion for the sports I love. You have truly made a positive impact on my life.
As old as I am, I was a little concerned that Mr. Duplinsky would make me go a little bit later. That's not good. He should get me up here early. You never know. Mr. Day was bragging about wearing a tie. This is the second time I've had shoes on in 3 years. So you know I'm very honored to be here. I'm sure I'm the only person that was brought up to sit on the stage today who has had less contact with the people up here than I have with the people back here. Okay, all the people that I taught are back here in the audience right now, the parents. As Mackenzie said, I've had the pleasure of working with her the past 6 years in cross country and track. It's been very easy to see in working with her how she became so successful in the classroom. Success is not something that comes very easy to anyone. It takes a lot of work to be successful. And in my mathematical background here, I always come up with a few numbers of things that I spell success with 5 C's, okay? The first one's confidence. Mackenzie has an inner belief in her ability to succeed. I see that from working with her. She's got character, okay? That's the second C. She's awful quiet, but she does have character. She possesses the mental and personality to pursue her lofty goals. Mackenzie has courage. She is willing to take the risk of moving out of her comfort zone to produce in big meets. Only yesterday, I was on the edge of the track, and she had just started her leg of a relay in which she was running a half mile. And there was a girl right in front of her, and I said, Mackenzie, that's very important. Okay, she knew I meant she needed to catch that girl. Well, I didn't know that the girl was as good as she was. I mean, she was really good. Mackenzie ran a personal best time in that race to pass that girl. It gave us 2 more points in the meet. We finished ahead of the 3rd place team. We got the runner-up trophy yesterday. We finished ahead of the 3rd place team by 1 point. Okay, so I was right. That was very important. Commitment. She has a strong work ethic and is willing to put in the extra practice time to get better. Sports have changed a lot. They're going to change a lot next year, too, for us, because we're going to make some changes. But it's very hard to get the kids to be at practice all the time. There's so many things going on. Mackenzie is always there. And not only is she always there, she comes extra times when she doesn't have to. And lastly, competitiveness. She possesses a strong desire to be more successful than her competition. And that's what has made her so special to me over the last 6 years, and especially this year, her senior year. And all you have to do is remember 3 more weeks. 3 more weeks. Thank you.
Alexandra Shy.
Mr. Thomas, I wouldn't be where I am today without your guidance throughout the past 4 years. When I first stepped into your classroom, I didn't know what I had signed up for, but it has turned out to be the best decision that I ever made. I didn't really understand the impact that you would make on my life until I started parliamentary procedure. Your dedication and confidence in my abilities to perform well within that contest is what has set you apart from all of the other teachers and coaches that I have had during high school. You believed in my abilities even when I might not have believed in them myself. That confidence that you had in me my freshman year has continued to have an impact on my own ability to do my best throughout high school. You have pushed me to do new things that I never thought I would enjoy. You have helped me realize that to do well in something, you have to have confidence in your own abilities. Thank you for the countless hours that you have put into helping shape me into the person that I am today. Thank you for the constant support and guidance throughout these last 4 years. I appreciate it more than you will ever know.
When Alex walked up to me and she handed me the paper that said that I would be chosen for her Summa Cum Laude person, I was truly honored. When I start thinking about the individuals that I get to see for 4 years, she's one that comes to mind as one of the strongest and most competitive individuals that we have. She's put together one heck of a resume in our FFA chapter, and our classroom is just as amazing as well. One thing I always remember is if I don't know whether I'm doing something properly, I watch Alex's eyes and her face. She's going to tell me real quick as to whether I'm really doing something I should be or shouldn't be. Courtney Jones has this as well. Her freshman year, we had 6 a.m. or 6:30 a.m. parliamentary procedure practices. And I thought to myself, this is going to be a disaster. There's no way these kids are going to be ready for this. Lo and behold, her and her 7 other individuals really proved me wrong, and they ended up doing really, really well in that competition. And she's continued to put that passion and put that forward in our FFA chapter. And I know that as I believe she wants to be a teacher, I hope that she takes all the lessons that she's learned from me and definitely puts those into practice when she gets into the classroom. I appreciate all of your hard work for me, and I know that you'll do really well in your future. So thank you.
Katie Wells.
First, I would like to thank you all for coming out tonight, and a special thank you to Mr. Duplinsky and Miss Lynette Emmerich for putting this program on for us. We appreciate you and all your hard work to make this possible. When I was told that I was going to have to choose a teacher or staff member to honor for this event, this person came immediately to my mind. I chose Miss Tammy Harris. I've had many great teachers through my years here, but Miss Harris instilled a passion in me for volunteering and helping others. Thank you for showing me what it means to put others before myself. It is not for the fame, fortune, or thanks, but for the ability to see those who might not have the same resources I have get an opportunity to succeed. You taught me how to lead with grace in class and to look beyond my own wants and needs and to be thankful for all that I have. And most importantly, you taught me that with a little hard work and dedication, I too can make a difference. Some people come into your life when you most need them, and I'm forever grateful that you did. You taught me so many lessons and gave me such a greater purpose, and I am forever thankful to have you as a mentor, teacher, and friend. Your impact will be greater than you will be so much greater than you'll ever know. The program that this class started was called Backpacks for Buddies. This program helps provide food for students in need. The program is still running and very much needed. Tons of bags are packed each month to give to students who are in need. If you'd like to donate to this program, monetary donations or gift cards to any grocery store is greatly appreciated and can be donated to Miss Tammy Harris at the Liberty Union Middle School for Backpacks for Buddies. Thank you.
I first have to tell you, when I heard from Katie, we were talking, and I was like, oh my goodness, how are you? And oh my goodness, how was high school going? And we probably talked for about 30 minutes, and the conversation was coming to an end. And she goes, oh, wait a minute, Mrs. Harris, I wanted to ask you. And she told me about tonight's events and asked me to be here for her. And I am so excited to be here because as a middle school teacher, a lot of times when I tell somebody that I teach middle school, the first comment is like, oh. And I think I am so blessed to be a teacher in the middle school because I get to see the kids when they're 10 years old, and I get to see them at their start, and then I get to see them now as they begin to grow up. For Katie to be here today receiving this accolade is no surprise with such a great elite group of students behind me. Success in academics is so important, but what I've seen in Katie as well as a desire to help others, to lead, and to inspire. In my classroom, when I had a student struggling with just to stay organized, Katie was always there to help. I had some students, when I tried to help them, I didn't know what papers they were to keep or to throw away, and Katie would say, let me help, even if their locker or folder looked like a jack-in-the-box and you're going to wind it up and that is going to explode. She was there to help. When I had students that needed extra help academically, she would stay in and also help those students as well. In a program to help others, I was just in awe at the group behind me that were always there to step up with a program to help other students. When I think about the future of where Katie would be, it was no surprise when she told me that she was going to go into the field of teaching, because helping others is just her way. And there were times I had to push her out of her comfort zone. And I have a banner in my room that reads, "Those who tell you you can't, ... they didn't." And I'm so proud to be a part of this tonight, to see Katie excel and to think about all the kids that she will then inspire when she becomes a teacher. Congratulations, Katie.
We will go one more student here, then take about a 4 or 5 minute break if you want to stand and stretch a little bit, because we're at about the halfway point, so to speak. The next student up is Kaylee Unsinger.
Dear Mrs. Gonzalez, before I first took your class my freshman year, I was extremely nervous. I had heard that Spanish was laborious and difficult even for advanced students, and based on what I heard of you, I also assumed that you'd be a strict and demanding teacher. But when I first met you that first day, I knew that all of what I heard about you was wrong. You're kind and caring of your students, and I loved learning in your class. It was challenging and engaging and was so much more than just a Spanish class. We learned about culture and ways of life, and I loved every moment. This year I was fortunate enough to be able to take your Spanish 4 class, even though I am the only student, and because I am your only student, I feel like we have naturally become closer. I feel comfortable to open up about myself, which I usually find difficult. You have such a friendly and warm personality that I can easily talk about anything with you. 2021 was the most difficult year of my life. When my mom had a stroke on Christmas Eve last year, the left side of her body was completely paralyzed. My dad and I became her main caregivers 24/7. She was always in and out of hospital, and luckily my junior year, I was able to remain remote so that I could help take care of her. And when you became my teacher again, you listened to me talk about my mom and how sorry I felt because of how much she was struggling. You were attentive and supportive whenever I admitted how much I was struggling too. And when she passed away in November, you were there to listen to me. You listened to my story, and you gave me encouragement and strength during my difficult times. You are an amazing person. You understand people and all the different conflicts that confront them. I'm confident with my choice to have you as a role model and honored to have you as my guest. I appreciate all the support you have given me this past year, and I feel so lucky to have met you. And I hope that we can keep in touch to meet again in the future. Thank you.
Oh, goodness. Kaylee, I know that this has been, like you said, the most difficult year of your life. And I feel so truly honored that you've chosen me, because I know that you've been through many, many, many difficulties. I also feel that with you as my only student in Spanish 4, we have, like you said, naturally been able to speak a lot more than we would have been able to in Spanish 1 when you were a student with many other kids in the class. I remember when you were a 9th grade student, just admiring your work ethic and just everything about how you just were able to achieve as a student. But this year has been a special year because I feel like you have always been such a quiet person, but I feel like I really got to know you on a different level this year as my only student. And I'm very touched that you chose me, especially during this difficult year. Thank you very much.
Let's go ahead and take about a 4 or 5 minute break if you want to stand and stretch a little bit, because as I told you at the start of the program, it can get to be a long time just sitting like that. If everybody could get, we can get back into our seats, then we can go ahead and get started with the second half of the program. Everybody here now? Okay. While we're waiting, I'll make a couple of announcements here. I lost track after Mary Chestnut of mentioning where students were going to college, so I'd like to run down the list of the ones that have already been up front here. J.C. Maddox is going to Muskingum University. Courtney Jones, Kent State University. Amber McClaskey, Mount Carmel College of Nursing. Mackenzie Schumacher, Miami University. Alexandra Scheid, Kent State University. Katie Wells, Ohio University. And Kaylee Unsinger, Ohio University. And I'll try to remember to keep announcing that after each name. I apologize for that. One name, biology or science teacher. And I think we have everybody back now. All right. We'll continue with the program now. student up is Nick Buzzkirk, and he is going to Xavier University.
What's up, everybody? Before I get into my letter, I'd like to preface this with a little information. The dude beside me, Robbie, I can no longer call him a teacher. He is rather a friend and a mentor. At any time, I can go into his class and talk about what I like. The NBA, my favorite TV show, politics, and U.S. history. This man has put in more effort than any teacher I've ever talked to. When I went to give him his letter for being my Summa Cum Laude nomination, he showed me the tub behind his desk of the amount of work he went through for his online master's degree while he was teaching a bunch of annoying 8th graders. The amount of commitment that takes, man, he really loves American history and loves teaching it. He wasn't originally a teacher, and I can tell that he really wanted to get in this career, and he did as much as he could to really teach us about American history, and even more than that. Keith Robinson. Being the child of a teacher, one of the first careers I ruled out was teaching. Kids, especially those going around their teenage years, are not the best people to spend 8 hours a day around. Being a teacher is an unforgiving career that will often leave you confused and frustrated by all the things you can and cannot control. However, Mr. Robinson was the teacher that went above and beyond for me whenever I encountered an obstacle or wanted to further myself as a student and person. The most important thing that Keith Robinson taught students was not historical facts, the school curriculum, or even American history. The most important thing he taught us was the value in researching and forming your own opinions. In 8th grade, Mr. Robinson advocated for an advanced history class which I was placed into. In this class, he constantly stated the importance of primary source documents, being able to analyze them and form your own conclusion based on said evidence. Although he may not have seen it, this lesson he taught his class was something I kept close to my heart. This advice not only influenced my performance on his DBQs, it guided my thought process throughout my high school career and continues to guide me. How could you have an opinion on something without thoroughly researching it yourself and using the most important pieces of evidence to come to your own conclusion? I would like to thank Keith Robinson for not only giving me an excellent 8th grade year, but also giving me a guideline to live life by. He also said I wasn't
to honor some kids and to be honored by some amazing students. And I've typically shared memories about why these students were so special or described situations that they were involved in that stuck out to me. But this year's a little different. I imagine that Nick is going to describe some of the things that I taught him. But tonight, I'd like to take just a brief moment to tell you about 3 things that I learned from Nick Buzzkirk. Number 1, don't assume that just because a student doesn't appear to be paying attention, that they're not. Not all students are vigorous note takers or frequent hand raisers. Nick has this unique way of looking very unengaged while simultaneously being ultra honed in. So I want to thank you for that lesson, Nick. Number 2, Nick taught me not to be afraid to let go of the reins and to allow students to direct the learning. So never in my wildest dreams would I have ever imagined that a group of 8th grade students would become so engrossed in the British economic policy of mercantilism as my 8th grade advanced class the year that I had Nick. These kids begged me to let them have a debate on the topic. They took it upon themselves. These guys, and I've got some, I forgot to bring them up here, they made signs, they made posters, campaign buttons. Yes, thanks for getting those out, Nick. Campaign buttons. guys remember these things? At the center of all of this was Nick, who purposely argued in favor of mercantilism. And when I asked him, Nick, why did you choose to argue in favor of that policy? He just said he thought it would be fun to take the side with which he disagreed. Like, who does that? Then, of course, there was under the bus. Now, those three words have a special meaning for this group. There was a theme song, and when we would play Under the Bus in the middle school cafeteria, the first 2 or 3 notes of that theme song, the middle school cafeteria would go crazy. Nick had this unique way of, well, you can tell with the name, Under the Bus, where every month he would interview a teacher, and he would figuratively throw them under the bus without them quite often understand what was happening. There's a couple people up here that had the privilege of being thrown under the bus. And I was so amazed at the intelligence that Nick demonstrated with that. And I'm sure there were a time or two that under the bus just about got me fired. So Nick, thank you for teaching me that. Finally, the third lesson that I learned was never to underestimate the impact that a teacher can have on a student. I'm going to be completely transparent with you for a moment, Nick. There were some times that I was entirely too hard on you. My expectations for you, the quality of the LU for you bits what I expected from you on DBQs, on primary source analysis papers. Sometimes in my pursuit, Nick, to push you to be the absolute best that I know that you could be, I know there were times that I may have left you with the impression that I was somehow disappointed in you. I want to make it known here how extremely proud of you that I am, Nick, and that I'm sorry if I ever let you down, if I ever made you feel that way. I am so thankful that I've had the opportunity to be your teacher, and it's a huge honor to be standing here with you tonight. You've had so many great teachers along the way, and the idea that I somehow left an impression on you and it was your choice for tonight is something I know I'll never forget. So Nick, I want to thank you for all that you've taught me.
Ellie Brunty, who will be attending Capital University.
When I found out that I had been selected for the Summa Cum Laude Banquet, I began thinking about the teachers who had impacted my life in a positive way. But then I learned I could select a coach to be my honored guest, and I did not have to think a minute more. Most people come up to the podium and bring someone they refer to as Mr. or Mrs. Not only do I call my person coach, but I'm lucky enough to call him dad. My dad has impacted my life on and off the field. It is not always easy having your dad as a coach. I always got the brunt end of everything, but understood that it was only intended to make me stronger and better person in the end. Hardworking, determined, dedicated, passionate, and loving are just a few words that would describe my dad. And I think anyone lucky enough to be a part of one of his teams would agree with me. One of the many things that I admire is my dad's work ethic. He is one of the hardest working people I know. Not only is he a hard worker, but he will never leave a job unfinished or done incorrectly. If he's working with you or for you, it's going to be done well and with 100% effort. You will never have to second guess his work. Dedication is another trait I admire in my dad. Once he's committed to something, he's all in. Whether it be coaching, volunteering, or working around the house, he has shown me how to be the best at whatever I'm involved with. Not only do I think he gives his all, he's going to go the extra mile as well. The passion and determination my dad has for the things he loves and the people he loves is immeasurable. While at times he may appear bullheaded, I would give him a pass on that and blame it on his red hair. However, I would not trade that for anything, because good things come from being passionate and determined. My dad has pushed me in ridiculous ways to make me the person that I am today. At this time, I may have complained about them, but looking back, those situations have done nothing but mold me into the person that I have become today. Thank you for everything, Dad. I love you.
I come up here and hear people say that they're surprised to be up here. I'm definitely one that's surprised to be up here. When Allie asked me to be part of this tonight at the house that evening, I was actually really shocked. I know the kid loves me, but sometimes I wonder just how. Sorry. I just wonder how she can love someone that's so hard and demanding on her all the time. Must have been just enough in there to have her up here, have me up here with her tonight. Unless she was bribed. Little story. My father passed almost 8 years ago to the day. I was lucky enough to take some time off work and basically spend every day with him over his last 7 months. Over that 7 months, there was a lot of coffee drank and many conversations went on. One that I will never forget was a few months before he passed. He said, "Boy, you have a great family, love them, and always take care of them." He also told me how proud he was of me. Never forget this. I know my dad loved me, and he was very proud of me, but never really said it much at all. But I knew it. So I took this and tried to do better on telling this girl standing right here how proud, how much I love her work ethic, how much I love her, and just a good job every now and then. If it's me saying it or just sending a random text, I tried to do better. Moral of this story was always tell them, always let them know how proud you are. Lastly, I'd like to finish up with just talking about Allie and how extremely proud of what she's already accomplished in over her 18 young years. One of my go-tos is always give 100%. No excuse not to. And whatever you're doing, schoolwork, work, sports, anything in life. This kid right here does a fantastic job at this. The hard work and dedication I see at our house behind the scenes is incredible. If she continues this, she will be very successful at whatever she chooses. The last few words I'd like to describe my girl, what kind of person she is. Allie, you're kind, you're loving, good-natured, hardworking, loyal, funny, sensitive young lady. And out of all the people that has helped her become who she is today, I'm beyond words that you chose me. I love you, Allie Mae.
Kaylee Curry and her plans at this time are to go into the workforce.
Mrs. Fisher, Only 6 years ago, I started my journey as one of your students, and even though that is almost a third of my life at this point, it only feels like yesterday I was starting 6th grade. My whole life, I had an interest in music, and the interest only grew as I continued to take your classes. You have taught me so many things about music that I never would have known if it wasn't for you. You showed me that it is never too late to try something new, especially when it comes to learning piano and joining the musical. I never would have imagined that I learned piano or even progressed as far as I have while learning. I believe that if anyone else tried to teach me to play, I would have been over trying to learn it after the first week. I also never saw myself ever being able to be brave enough to play a part in a musical or even get the opportunity to have a solo speaking role in one. You and Jill both made me feel so welcome, and it was overall such an amazing experience that I will never forget. You also taught me to sing out more, and you were one of the teachers who showed me that it is okay to make mistakes and ask questions. I realized I had terrible stage fright in 4th grade after doing the talent show. I never ended up doing any talent shows in middle school because I was afraid. Though during 7th and 8th grade year, I decided to join choir. In doing so, I was able to start building my confidence.
Headedness and maturity. I've heard her handle some challenging topics and conversations with grace. And I've never heard her say an unkind word and rarely even a complaint. I've heard her disagree with other students so kindly. And that's just a characteristic that I value so much, to let someone know how you feel, that it may be different, but that it's okay. And I will just miss your presence in class, miss your presence in Lion Period, and your leadership as a musician too.
Larkin Smith, Ohio University.
Coach A, first of all, thank you so absolutely everything you have helped me with for the past 4 years. These past 4 years would have turned out way different if I didn't have you in my corner. You only helped me academically, but you helped me become a better person. You taught me that no matter what your circumstances are, you're in control of your future. The work you put in now will affect you in the future years. You have seen me at my worst moments when I've been stressed about a different test or projects. You always knew what to say to help me. You taught me that making mistakes is a way you learn. Thanks for guiding me, pushing me to become the very best version of myself. Your constant encouragement, compassion, and support I will forever be grateful for. Thank you for your patience with me, even though I know that you want to bang your head against the desk sometimes. Oh yeah. I wanted to let you know how much I appreciate you. Few people possess the considerate unselfishness and helpfulness like you possess. Even few are willing to give you so much of themselves to their students like you have. No matter what I do in life, I will always be grateful what you did for me for the past 4 years.
There were really never any moments like that. I have to also say before I speak about my man Larkin, this has been a wonderful presentation. I've been involved in these before, but this has been so emotional, so touching, and so deserving for both the students and their individuals that they asked to step up. Larkin Smith, May 1st, 2022. I was asked by Larkin to present him with a Summa Cum Laude award. I was so honored to do this for him. The Larkin Smith that you now see today is not the Larkin of many years ago. As a freshman, he was so shy, he was so quiet, hard to believe, and he was so scared. Came in as a very frightened freshman. The younger Larkin was curious but scared, as I mentioned. But as he began to take hold of his strengths and recognize his weaknesses, he began to grow. One of the first things I actually mentioned to him was, Larkin, they have a knowledge bowl. They would never put me on the knowledge bowl, but you should join the knowledge bowl. I said, you know so much. The younger Larkin, as a student, was unknowing of his ability to be successful. He had no idea what was sitting up there between his two shoulders. He had no idea. He continued to dwell on his weaknesses or the things that he struggled with. I struggled with so much. I could have easily been Larkin. I also had a teacher, someone so wonderful that brought it all out of me. But he found that he was successful, and I can still recall his first test that he took in biology. He was in Bressler's class. That's a tough class. I'd sit in the back and just shake my head at times because there was so much to be given to them. And then they took their first test. Larkin scored almost a perfect score. He had the best score in the class. And I think it was at that time that he realized, I really am smart. The athlete in Larkin Smith was brave and always willing to try something new. He came out for my team. I tell every guy on the team, well, actually every guy in school, I got a jersey for you. So Larkin came out. And not only was he a shot and a discus guy, but he was also the guy with the camera. He would take pictures for Jamie Neal with the yearbook. He was the editor. He was thrilled. And of course, he chose all the pictures, and track got high priority. Of course. Yeah. Today, though, Larkin is confident and he's not afraid to stand alone. Today, Larkin is always willing to learn from any type of adversity. Today, Larkin Smith has achieved another goal for himself. I have one last lesson for you, Larkin. You need to always strive to leave others respecting how you handle yourself. I tell all of my students, sometimes I have to tell them more than once, you are always going to leave something when you walk out of this room. You can't help it. You will all here leave something when your students or your children or their classmates leave. You leave an impression. You have two choices. You're either going to leave a good one or a bad one. I hope that you leave a good one. When we leave and we move on, we all leave impressions with others, as I mentioned. And my impression of you, Larkin, has been absolutely wonderful. I want you to know. I want your parents to know that you've not just gained from me, but I have gained from you. How proud I am of you. I'm so happy to have been one of your teachers. And as a teacher is retiring this year, I'm still coaching, by the way, Jana. But as a teacher that's retiring, I now know all the reasons why I chose to be a teacher. It's just so incredible. You can have absolutely the worst day, not enough coffee maybe, but the worst day. And then someone comes down the hall, and you tell them hello, and they beam at you. So I want to thank you for being one of my students. Thank you.
Caleb Riddle, Ohio State University.
Let me start off by saying, if you heard a few like ringing noises out in the crowd earlier, it was probably my family, so I'm sorry for that, but yeah. All right. My time as a student at Liberty Union, I have only had one teacher that has taught me and dealt with me for 4 years, and that is Miss Whitaker. She is not only an accomplished teacher that has enhanced my love for math, but is within herself an inspiring person. Beyond her teaching, I know Miss Whitaker for helping me with my endeavor on expanding my knowledge outside of the normal curriculum. She pushed me to better myself in all aspects of life, from my patent to my business to dealing with the enormous amounts of homework. We bonded over deep talks during Lion period, along with a few other students, and held many therapy sessions, which usually ran over into other class periods. I credit Miss Whitaker for helping me out with some of the toughest and most challenging moments of my life. She was there for me whenever many were not. Miss Whitaker helped put me back together, but also guided me down a path of success. She empowered me and helped foster my strive to learn through setting up independent studies, along with helping me find time to work on my startup. That is why I'm honored to have had such a caring, strong, smart, and inspiring teacher as Miss Whitaker.
You know, I realize how short I am when I stand up next to Caleb and some of our other students who tower over me. All right. Good morning. I know it's not morning, but Caleb and I had to start with saying this. I have enjoyed this ritual game we have played now for 4 years. I don't know how it started, but I'm glad that this has been how we start our day. Maybe we can convince Abby to carry it on, the tradition. Sounds good. Where has the time gone? I've been your math teacher for 4 years, and you are the first student that can claim that. I would be happy to teach you for more years, but it is time for your next adventure, and I guess I will share you with other math professors. There is way more than learning math that happens in room 204. There have been many heartfelt conversations where we have cried and laughed together multiple times over the years. These usually start with, "Miss Witt, we need to talk." Like me, we can read your face and know how immediate this talk needs to be. You have a kind and compassionate heart and are always willing to help others. When I first met you, I knew you were going to accomplish many things, and you are proving me right each day. I am beyond proud of you. It has been an honor to watch you grow into the amazing young man that you are. I am excited for you as you are about to start your next adventure, but will miss you dearly. Who else is going to have my back or do what Miss Witt would when there's a disruption across the hallway? You may be leaving Liberty Union High School, but you will always hold a special place in my heart. As I always tell you, remember me when you're rich and famous. Keep being you, and I wish you nothing but the best.
Gavin Estep, Ohio State University.
Dear Mr. Turner, where to start? Well, actually, I know where to start. I'd just like to say thank you for being the best neighbor. He is my neighbor. No teacher or educator has and probably ever will have the same impact on my life like you have. Well, I could sit around for hours and talk about all of the impacts you've made on me throughout my high school career, both in and out of school, small and large. I would like to start by highlighting one specific moment that has stuck with me. I'll never forget the moment you sat me down and just plain stated that you're upset with me. I think we both know what we're talking about. At the time, it caught me off guard because it was the first time I'd ever had a teacher be so plainly honest with me. Being the kind of high achiever I am, I'd always been praised for my doings, and had never been pushed past my boundaries. This has shown me that you actually cared enough about me and believed in me to push me like you did. No one has ever done this before. I do not believe that settling is in your vocabulary. As you pulled me back in and showed me just how much confidence you had in me, not only in my abilities, but not letting me give up and not letting you give up on me. Thank you for pulling me back into the program that you knew I could benefit so much from.
Thank you. Instead of letting me go off easy, you pushed for great. If you would have never had that conversation with me, Mr. Turner, I probably would have never became an officer in the FFA. I would have never made lifelong friends both in and out of the FFA. I would have never been part of a state-winning and nationally recognized teams. And lastly, I most definitely would have never realized my passion for the outdoors, and especially trees. But no matter how much I say, there's not enough paper in the world to write all the good things that you've done for me over the years. I cannot truly thank you enough. But while also being one of my greatest motivators, you've simultaneously been one of my closest friends and mentors throughout high school. Whether it be taking the bus through McDonald's drive-thru, getting exclusive access to Schaffner's at forestry practice before it was even open, your out-of-these-world stories, to the long after-school talks. The memories I've made with you have undoubtedly stuck with me and will stick with me for the rest of my life. So if there's one thing that I could say to you, Mr. Turner, it's that while my time here at this school is quickly coming to an end, you have and always will be a part of some of the best moments this high school has ever brought me. Thank you.
When Gavin came and asked me to be his summa cum laude, I started thinking about what I was going to discuss and talk about with Gavin. And what came to my mind is just in our dealings, courteous to everyone, and above all, honest and fair in the game of life. When I started here at Liberty Union a couple of moments ago, that's one of the things that I loved so much about Liberty Union, was no matter what was going on, people had compassion and caring and honesty with each other to the point where everybody was a family. And it wasn't until this past year and a half, 2 years with Gavin that I realized that quality of students still echoes through the halls at Liberty Union. And I appreciate that. You know, from everything that we have done together, from the forestry to mechanics, or sitting in the back of the expedition with another individual talking about what their expectations are and not being afraid to step out of your boundary box. I know from the bottom of my heart, from all the qualities that I have, that you're going to be successful and out-succeed even my wildest dreams of you. So, Gavin, you know, I appreciate all you have done for me as an individual, as a teacher, teaching me that students are more worried about failure with the individuals that they idolize or they look up to than the grade that's going to be on the paper that they give them. So thank you for that. Okay.
Caitlin Corbel, Mount Carmel College of Nursing.
When I was asked to choose a teacher who inspired me throughout my high school years, my mind immediately went to Miss Gonzalez. Although I only had her as my teacher freshman year, she really influenced all my years in high school. Being a freshman in high school is difficult. Being around new teachers in a new building with different expectations can be scary. Mrs. Gonzalez was always someone who made this building feel welcome. From day one, she made it clear that she was someone you could come to with anything, whether it was personal or school-related. The main reason I admired Mrs. Gonzalez so well was her ability to connect with her students in not only academic ways, but social ways as well. If I'm being honest, we have all had those teachers who give us work every day and expect us to just figure it out on our own. But Mrs. Gonzalez never did this. My 9th period Spanish class was not an easy one either. Anyone in that class would agree. However, she was still patient with us and helped us learn the material in all sorts of interesting ways. She always wanted to see us succeed. Her class will always be one of my favorites. Anyone who had the pleasure of being in her class is beyond lucky. Mrs. Gonzalez
Thank you for being the type of teacher who makes saying goodbye to high school so hard.
Thank you, Caitlin, very much. This is quite an honor. Interesting that you would mention ninth period Spanish during your year. There are many of the students who are here today who were in that class, and it was a really big class, and it was challenging, but it was fun. And Caitlin is definitely one of those reasons. When I think about her, I think of a couple different things. Smart, obviously, but spunky. She's got a lot of spirit. She's kind of sarcastic if you've ever met her. But one of the other things I think about, she just learns so effortlessly. She makes it look so easy, and she gets good grades, but she makes it look so easy. She doesn't seem like it comes difficult to her. And I've always thought that was really cool about her. She has always been a really fun student to have in class. And even though, like she mentioned, she only was my student 1 year, and every once in a while I would see her in the hallways once she had moved on from ninth grade, and she would always make sure that she said something to me in Spanish because it just stuck with her, and she was just a really great kid to have in class. So thank you very much. This is a very big honor. Thank you.
Michaela Rice, and at this time undecided as to where she's going to school.
Miss Aiello, my time at Liberty Union has been made great by you. Every time I entered your classroom, I was always greeted with a smile, and that was really comforting. You would always compliment my outfits and my hair, and you always noticed if I had changed my look, and that's how I knew you really, truly cared about me. You were also always there to help me whenever I needed it. This was with Spanish and so many other things too. Last year, I remember I would come in and always tell you about how my day had been going or what happened at lunch, and you always listened so graciously, even though I was basically just rambling on and on. Not only that, but dance is one of the most important things in my life, and it's hard to find a teacher that truly cared about my efforts as a dancer, but one of those teachers is Mrs. Aiello. She always made sure when asking me about my weekend to include dance in it somehow. This made me feel extremely appreciative and made my love for dance soar. I remember when I walked into the high school on my first day of senior year, she came up to me and asked me how nationals had gone for dance, and I was really touched because she had remembered me telling her about that from last year. And I remember how her face lit up when I told her about how I had won with my solo, and she was so happy for me. That feeling of having someone who's not part of my family or dance studio being supportive felt amazing. I'm truly going to miss seeing you every day for Spanish because it was my favorite class I've ever taken. Thank you for being an amazing teacher, a big supporter of everything I've ever done, and a great influence on me.
Well, I gotta say, my first impression of Michaela, I really admired her for how professional she is all around, not just dance. But the first time I saw her perform was we had a Spanish class field trip to another high school, and we had a touring Puerto Rican singer. He tours like the high school unit. And there were hundreds of kids here, and somehow Michaela made it on stage. And it was so great to see when she was dancing. The guy looked over, he had to take a double take, like, is this like a hired dancer here? She's just so good. She's so professional with how she holds herself, and not just in dancing, but also in the classroom. I mean, you can just always tell she's trying to do the very best she can. I mean, what student comes to you during their free period and asks if they can just have some extra practice speaking Spanish, like that's kind of hard to come by. So I just can't say enough about how special of a person you are, and I'm so excited. You guys all better get her autograph before you leave here because she's going to be dancing on Broadway soon. So thank you.
Anna McGreary, and she's going to Loyola University in Chicago.
As a student, support and motivation are important aspects of our education. Through the past few years with COVID and the years of high school, teachers and their words of encouragement can help push us through. During my time at Liberty Union, even through middle school, Ms. Faco has been a positive influence on me throughout my academic career. She has always encouraged me, especially with my academics, whether it could be helping me proofread an occasional essay or helping me with college applications to which I frankly had no idea where to start. She has continuously motivated me to push myself and try harder for what I want, in regards to furthering my education onto college and never taking the easy route. She has had high expectations of me, which motivated me to challenge myself and forced me to get out of my comfort zone by trying new things that helped show me what I may want to do for the rest of my life. She's a dependable teacher and a selfless person who is always happy to try and answer your questions, or at least help find someone who can answer them if she cannot. So for that, I say thank you. Thank you for being there to advise me through these past few years of school, as I will always be appreciative of the continuous kindness and support you have shown me. Thank you.
Thank you, Hannah. I have to say for just a minute, this group is just such an extraordinary group of young people. And every year we get to see that in high school, but this group especially has just been a phenomenal one in that they're not in it so much for their own personal recognition. They've worked together to really sharpen each other, and that's really a special thing in a world where people are in it so often for themselves. And in our classroom, a lot of them remember from middle school, we have a big poster that said, "I'm a big Disney fan." They all know that, right? I have a lot of the Disney things a lot of you have given to me. And it says, "If you can dream it, you can do it." And that's Disney's motto. And so we kind of kept that as our motto for our class. And they've really done an outstanding job, both in the dreaming and in the completing. And it's going to be really exciting to watch all of you go on to just do amazing things and cheer you on as you accomplish all those dreams. Hannah, as I stand with you, I'm so impressed with the woman that you're becoming. It's been an incredible journey to watch you, and I'm just so proud of you. Hannah learned incredible grit at a very young age. She had a lot of health issues and things that would just sideline a lot of people. And those were especially challenging times for her. But the gift at the end of that was this gracious young lady with just an incredible grit. A young lady who knows what's truly important in life and one that is always wise beyond her years. Hannah has held the highest of standards for herself and those around her. And one thing I especially appreciate about Hannah is her character. She always works hard, challenges herself to learn and grow, and always roots for the underdog, for anyone who's in need, all without seeking the praise of others. Her poise, her talents, her grit, and her character will take her far as she goes to Loyola and beyond. Hannah, I'm so proud of you, and I'm so excited to see what your future holds. Congratulations on Summa Cum Laude, and best of luck.
Shayla Shy, and she is going to Ohio University.
Mr. Palmer, when I was told I was part of this and that we had to choose someone from the staff that has impacted our lives, I immediately thought of you. You were always the teacher that anyone could talk to, and no one ever felt judged or as if they weren't alone. They weren't welcome. Not many people take the time to notice when someone is struggling, but Mr. Palmer always did. I never liked to talk about my feelings, but with you, I always felt I was being listened to and understood. Not only did you always make an effort to make everyone feel loved, you also always knew how to make us laugh. Your fun and sarcastic sense of humor can make any bad day a good one. Your willingness to make what you were teaching fun truly impacted my ability to learn the material in your classes. Mr. Palmer, you are the type of person that will go out of your way to help your students learn or make them feel loved and appreciated. Your efforts impacted me greatly in 8th grade and still continue to do so because of your willingness to help show me that helping others is something I wanted to start doing. Your efforts to help me made me come to the realization that helping others could really impact a person in their life. You have opened my eyes to so many things, and I cannot thank you enough.
you got me. Sheila, I'm so incredibly honored that you chose me to be here with you today. I feel immense pride knowing how hard you've worked to get to this point, and I'm even more excited to see what you're going to achieve at Ohio University. Everyone experiences adversity. Challenges that we experience shape, improve, and can destroy our sense of self and personality. With all these hardships and seemingly impenetrable obstacles that we face, the most pertinent component of our ability to overcome, embrace, or eliminate these obstacles can be shown in the actions taken despite the odds. People have one of two options: to let those obstacles overwhelm them and keep them from pursuing all that they were destined to accomplish, or to march forward, fight harder, and push past the seemingly impossible circumstances to become greater than they ever expected to be. However, until they take those steps that enables them to be successful, they're stranded. All of our actions, mistakes, successes, and behaviors shape our person and what we can or cannot become. But what will always matter is our individual decisions and actions, not those of the people around us, because at the end of the day, we are the ones that have to deal with ourselves. In my schooling to become a teacher, we had to come up with a personal philosophy statement. The one that I created then is still the one that I regularly use today. I feel that it is the educator's responsibility to help students identify those roadblocks and help them to learn to overcome, embrace, or eliminate them in order for the student to succeed. If I can teach you some algebra and science along the way, that's great too. Just don't tell Mr. Turner. But the perseverance and personal strength is what I hope all of my students are able to obtain. Shayla, I see this characteristic trait in you. I know I can't take full credit for this ability being instilled in you. However, it makes my heart sing, seeing it in you. I know that no matter what life throws at you, you have the skill set and the ability to effectively and graciously navigate any roadblock. Congratulations.
If you remember at the start of the program, I said somebody does have to go last. And I think she deserves an extra loud applause, not because the program's over, but could you imagine sitting there, am I next? Am I next? Am I next? And I just hate that part of doing this, because somebody has to be first and somebody has to be last. But I'll give you an extra loud applause, I promise you that. Danielle Miller, and she is going to Purdue University.
Dear Mrs. Berry, second grade was a really hard year for me. I struggled both at school and at home. Without Mrs. Berry, I would not have been able to make it through this difficult time in my life. She was the first teacher that believed in me and encouraged me to become more academically focused. She never doubted my skills as a student, which helped me become a more confident and successful student. I was a very anxious kid and would worry about anything that could possibly happen. And Mrs. Berry would walk me out of school every day so I would feel safe and more comfortable. She didn't just care about me in the classroom, she cared about me as a person and wanted me to be the best version of myself. She would also come and support me whenever I would show my cows for many years after second grade. Mrs. Berry is an amazing teacher in person and who will always have a tremendous impact on my life.
As an elementary teacher, you strive to give your students a strong foundation and open their eyes to all the wonder and joy that learning has to offer. You do silly songs and dances, participate in all the dress-up days, and read books aloud with all the different voices and accents you can try to pull off. As an elementary teacher, specifically second grade when I had the honor of teaching Danielle Miller, your students generally love you and say you're the best teacher they've ever had. But you also know deep in your heart that you are just the beginning of many great experiences, learning opportunities, and wonderful teachers, coaches, and mentors to come. So it came with great surprise and complete honor when Danielle contacted me about being her guest at the Summa Cum Laude banquet ceremony. Then, to be honest, a little bit of nervousness set in. I hadn't taught Danielle in class in almost 10 years. What would I say? As I thought about her, many things came to mind. I have had so many pictures drawn for me over the years, but my favorite picture of all is the one that Danielle drew. I know you probably can't see it, but here it is. I can still remember her bringing it to my desk and telling me she drew a picture of me. I will never forget the smile I gave her and how much I told her I loved it, but secretly I wondered if that was what I really looked like. It still is a picture I have a copy of today and one I will always cherish. On a more serious note, I remember this tall, shy, sweet girl with a timid smile greeting me at open house. The second grade girl would soon open up and talk to me about showing her dairy cattle at the fair. I was able to watch her show that year and would look forward to seeing her at the fair in years to come. I remember Danielle as being passionate about her learning and the smile that truly radiated how proud she was when she learned something new or was successful at a task. I remember a shy second grader leaving my classroom as a more confident, soon-to-be third grader. I remember how proud I was of Danielle for all her hard work and growth. Flash forward many years, I couldn't believe when I saw her at the FFA job interview competition as a lovely grown-up young woman. Whether she is competing in track, events in FFA, or excelling at her education, I have no doubt that she's still a hard worker, still passionate about her interests, and I'm confident she will continue to be successful in her next endeavors. To earn Summa Cum Laude, highest honors, shows what hard work, dedication, and exceptional effort has been put forth to achieve such an honorable status. I also would like to say thank you to her parents for raising such a wonderful daughter and being an excellent support in your daughter's education, even back in second grade. I am so thankful for the opportunity to have known and worked with you. And to Danielle, thank you for being my student, for remembering me and inviting me here tonight. Your invitation made me realize the influence that I can have on my students even at a young age. You have made an impact on my life in many ways, and I am so very blessed to have been your teacher and your guest of honor tonight. I wish you the very best in your next chapter. May you never forget how incredible you are.
I just have a few remarks to conclude the program. First, I commend you and thank you for being an attentive audience because these students deserve it and these special guests deserve it, and I congratulate all of you. 3 things to say about how good these students are. On a weighted scale, the average GPA up here is 4.095. On an unweighted scale, 3.93. Of the 25 students up here who did the College Credit Plus, where they can take college classes while they were in high school, among this group, over 104 college classes were taken, putting that over 300 college semester hours. That's pretty impressive. I have a few people I would like to recognize. First, and I know she's going to get mad at me for mentioning her, but I have to thank Mrs. Emmert. Miss Lynette Emmert sets this up, believe me. I may be the guidance counselor, and she's the administrative assistant, but I work for her, believe me. She's a great person and does a great job with this and many other things, as I'm sure the people up front would say. I want to thank Mrs. Whitaker, Michelle Whitaker. The students received, I believe, a little like lapel pin. Mrs. Whitaker bought those for the student. They were not purchased by the school. That just shows you the kind of people that work here in this district. I want to thank the administration for allowing us to continue this. I think it's great with all the things many times you hear in the news negative about young people. I think it's great for a couple hours to look at people like this and see what the young people really are. And I just think that's a fantastic compliment to these students. Noah Barker and Kelly Savage, the tech people who set everything up, because this is also being recorded so that it will be on the Liberty Union website in a few days here if, you know, at a later date you want to watch it again, critique the MC, you know. What I would like to have happen now is if all parents, grandparents, step-parents, if you would please stand, and I think you guys deserve to give them a round of applause. Thank you. As a school system, we were instrumental with these students, but you're the main reason they are the kind of people they are. And that concludes the program, and I thank you for showing up and participating in it. Thank you.